good news to me because I wouldn't want to be told that I was dead. Although, mind you, on YouTube, views like mine are pretty much dead, aren't they? But hey, we mustn't say nasty things about YouTube when we are broadcasting on that platform, or should we? Anyway, good early. Hi, Jed. Um, it's Saturday around lunchtime, so I managed to squeeze in a short period of time here between doing other activities of the shopping variety, I might add, um, to have a brief chat with all of you, uh, which I've taken to doing actually. Hi, Andrew. It's afternoon indeed, afternoon on a Saturday. Hi, Matty. I am good, thank you. Fighting fit. Absolutely fighting fit. Hi, Ultron. Good to see you as well. Good to see all you guys. Thanks everybody for joining me on this short little live broadcast. So I probably don't do as many live broadcasts as I should, but it's difficult. There's reasons. So yeah, I'm not sure what we're allowed to talk about this week on YouTube. Every week there's something else to be banned. It's Chaz says, "Hi David, it's a nice global warming day." Oh yeah, it's really warming here, as you can see. I mean, I'm absolutely dressed for the warming conditions. Remember, our planet is on fire. Our planet is on fire. Oh yeah, we're not allowed to question climate change, by the way. Shh! Don't tell YouTube, otherwise I'll be in trouble. But yeah, so no, it's not a particularly nice day actually. So what to talk to you guys about? Well, a couple of things actually. Obviously, the last day and a half or so, have been, dominated by the murder, the savage murder of Sir David or Amos. Not sure how you pronounce his word. Anyway, it's brutal murder. Yeah, I'm sure you all seen that. Yeah, Jed. The only problem with global warming is it is getting colder. Yeah. Yeah. It's another the Black's history. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love watching. I think isn't it ITV? They're celebrating Black History Month. It's an absolute delight. I love it. I just can't wait for White History Month. What? What you say? White History Month, David? That's racist. Okay, if that's racist, isn't Black History Month racist? No, 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 no. It's only racist when it's white people doing stuff. I understand. I understand. And then they'll say every month is White History Month. Well, then, good. Let's have. Yeah, Jane, isn't it? I mean, look. Get back on topic. The murder of Sir David. It's kind of it's shocking, isn't it? It's really shocking when we see these acts of vile terrorism on our streets, on British streets. And whether it's an MP, whether it's just an ordinary person, it's still a loss of life. It is still um, it's still so tragic to see. But the reaction has been interesting as well, hasn't it? I think we're allowed to talk about the reaction to the killing. The reaction is quite different to that, for example, when it was Joe Cox, who was also sadly murdered back in 2015, 2016. That was, yeah, Tony says, Sadiq Khan said Sir David had passed away. He didn't pass away. He was stabbed to death. I mean, I've always been very hostile to terrorism. I think terrorism is a blight. It's an evil. It's always been here, by the way. It's not only, yeah, today or yesterday we've had terrorism. Uh, but the fact of the matter is that, hi Ozzy, by the way, nice to see you on the stream. It's been a while since I've spotted you, so thanks for being here. The manner of the killing of Sir David, I believe, as somebody has sort of referenced on the stream here, he was stabbed a dozen times. Now, I don't know what to say about that. I can't conceive of the savagery that would make one person stab a totally innocent man 12 times. I can't conceive of that savagery. But, um, you know, unfortunately, some cultures are savage. That's the way it is, folks. I know the likes of Dr. What's her name? Oh, she's on Twitter. Dr. Shola. Dr. Shola thinks it's not relevant to discuss the background to the alleged culprit. but it's very relevant. It's very relevant to discuss these things. So, what are the things that we know concerning this alleged killer? Well, we know he is of Somali origin. Not sure what that means. Not sure what that means. They're very keen to also tell us he's a British citizen. He's a British citizen. Just remember that he's as British as can be. Except I'm not sure about that. Just because you have a British passport does not necessarily suggest that you are in all ways considered British. For example, if I walk into a stable, does that make me a horse? No, of course it doesn't. Chaz, yeah, I get your call. So we know he was a British. He was, he was a Somali with a British passport. That much we know. He was a Muslim. We know that, I think, as well. Those are the only facts in this one. Uh, and so we can assume, as Ozzy points out, that he was most likely a refugee or an alleged refugee taken in here. We'll have to wait till we get all the facts in this. Don't like to speculate too much. I've learned over the years that you're better kind of hanging back a bit, but we can't ignore things either. In the immediate aftermath of the murder of Joe Cox, if you recall, politicians suspended the referendum campaign. They called for a deep inquiry into the motivations of the killer, what had radicalized him, all those things in the immediate aftermath of the killing of Joe Cox. So it's reasonable that we should expect the same things in as regards this guy. We need to know how he came to this country. We need to know who authorized his British passport, his British citizenship. We need to understand all his connections, all that community in which he presumably was based. We need to thoroughly investigate all of these things if we're going to be consistent. But guess what? You know it, and I know it. We won't. I will be very surprised if he's not declared mentally unstable, and therefore, and in many regards, he'll be painted as a victim, and it'll be whitewashed, if you'll pardon the racism term, and kicked under the carpet. I think that's what may well happen here. The other thing is, and I've got to be honest with you, and this, might surprise you and might not. I'm wary of whenever we get these events. I'm increasingly wary of what's driven them. How have they come about? Who is precisely? Jed says Ash Starker says it's racist to say Somali. Yeah, she's a complete moron. A complete moron. No one should pay any attention to what she says. Um, the yeah, back to what I was saying. So it's reasonable that we understand and investigate all these things, so we can understand exactly how this killer came to be amongst us. And of course, it's very awkward this for certain lobbies. Let's face it, the refugees welcome lobby find these things a little bit awkward because here we have a public servant, an MP of long standing, dead, dead because of the actions of this individual. And when we have, and I've seen them on social media, I've seen the comments from the doctor, what's her name, um, Doctor Simone, whatever she's called, forget her name, can't remember her name. The Ash Sarker, all these guys, all these people, they're so predictable because they don't want us to investigate all the circumstances surrounding this individual, and there's a damn good reason why they don't want us to do that. But unfortunately, yes, Jed makes a great point. I saw Ann Coulter made this point as well. All the talk now is about how do we protect our MPs that much further. Now, I've done a podcast on this, and you should check out my podcast channel today. There's 5 podcasts that will go out. One of the things that disturbs me most is this has been switched and baited into a question of how much protection do we give our MPs because they're vulnerable. Well, heads up, you're vulnerable. I'm vulnerable. Every one of us is vulnerable. All lives are equal. No one's life is worth more than anyone else's to their loved ones. It's not. So, this notion of giving more, yes, Chaz, it's the public that needs protection too. too. So it's all very well for Pretty Patel to grandstand about this, and they're going to have a great inquiry into what additional security to give MPs. Listen, we all need that additional security, and here's one way you can do it: stop letting these people into the country who constitute a threat to our well-being. So far this year, I think we've had about was it 17? We'll have about 20,000 people illegally come to this country this year. They're not vetted. We don't know who they are. We don't know what views that they hold. We don't know what their intentions are. They're here. They're living amongst us. They could be living around the corner from you. So the fact of the matter is, yeah, Jed says two MPs killed by terrorists. However, there's been many, many more just ordinary people. As I said in one of my podcasts, it's tragic about Sir David. I'm not trying to in any way belittle that, but the slaughter at the Manchester Arena, where all those young children and mums and dads were killed when the Islamist blew himself apart. That was tragic. The killing on Westminster Bridge, that was tragic. It's you could rattle off the cases as easily as I, and all those lives were equally precious. So look, don't give me this about we got to protect our MPs more. No, 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 no. We got to protect all of us more, and you do that by stopping these individuals coming here. And if they are already here, because let's face it, in these circumstances, how often do we discover that the culprit concerned is no one to police? Makes me suspicious, by the way. Hi, Jane. It's most certainly not a one off. These things never are one offs. Um, and Matt's right. I mean, my mantra is that all lives matter. And if you want to make all lives matter, what you have to do is you gotta stop this. You gotta stop this essentially invasion of people who despise us. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday about this. Someone who lives outside the UK, and the argument is, what is the motivation for the killing? And I sincerely doubt that the oh, hi Sharon, good to see a fellow uh, country person. I mustn't misgender you, country person. Thanks for being here, Sharon and Anthony as well. Appreciate all that. Well, actually, while I have you all here, actually, because I see quite a few of you on, can I ask a quick question? I want a quick hands up on this one here. Now I know because we're in YouTube, we have to be careful of what I say, but as you know, there are the people who have taken the vaccine and there are the people who haven't taken the vaccine. I'm in the process of getting a limited edition of collector's items, little badges that say on them simply one message: pure blood. That's all it says: pure blood. Exactly, Jed. So, can I ask if you would be interested? I think they're going to cost about 2.99 each, and they'll be the value of the pure blood badge will flow back into helping me do more of this stuff. So it's going to be 50 of them. 50 of them, right? Hands up or drop me a message in this one if you would take a badge. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Sharon. Yeah. Oh, yes, guys, you're right. Of course they are. Thanks, Jane, as well. Yeah, it's you see, I believe language is my thing. The way words are used and constructed, and as you know, the establishment and the government and the media and big tech and all of them, they want high jazz for prez. They want those of us who have not taken the treatment to feel as if somehow there's something wrong with us. But thanks, Andrew, good man. But there's nothing wrong with us. We've just simply taken a considered decision, and we shouldn't be having to defend ourselves from the position of being unjabbed. So pure blood, it actually works for me, and I hope it works for you. So as I say, those of you, thanks for saying that. With a bit of luck, in the next week or so, I'll try and get the things up for up on the. I'll get the link through to, it'll go back to the shop on Alt News Media. Is where you'll be able to buy them. It's not there just yet, but don't worry. I'll be proudly wearing one. I'll let you see one. We can get all kinds of stuff, Jed, going out. But certainly, pure blood for me, it's fundamental. We're going into what Chris Whitty has called a dark winter. Did you hear him say that? A dark winter. And that's when people like you and me we all have to stick together because we're going to be under intense psychological pressure, folks. Intense psychological pressure. We've sustained our way through it. By the way, they're not going to break us. They won't ever break us. But it's a good way of, I guess, sort of kindredship. You know, we are one. Insofar as the yeah, Jed's right. Yeah, plan there is going to lead to plan B. As sure as night follows day, by the time we get to November, December, masks are back and your vaccine passports being brought in. Chaz is right. Well, we need to be strong now, Chaz, and we are strong, and we will never bend the knee and submit to the bullying and the tyranny that's going on. I've got a podcast coming out, not sure when, but it's on what's happening in Israel, in Italy, in Italy. So as you know, from today in Italy, if you want to work, you've got to be jabbed. That's it. That's it. Yes, Matt. I heard that Metazolan Matt has lost his job, which is at the UN. Which I saw that reported on Unity News. My friends over there, David Clues and the gang, were like one of the first to flag that one up. I don't know what that's about. Yes, Jane, in a very good Shakespearean quote, now is the winter of our discontent. But back to Italy. So all the people in Italy who are like us and have decided, no thanks, this is not for us, they can't work anymore from today. Their livelihoods are gone, thanks to the thugs in the Italian government. So I've put a podcast out on that. If you check that one, I've also done a follow-up one on the killing of Sir David. You'll be able to see that. So there's lots of content going out today. So I mean, I'm sure most of you folks do subscribe to the podcast channel. If by any chance any of you haven't, please do that. Yeah, it's out at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock tonight. Italy removes your right to work, but to keep you safe. And that's the refrain that they keep using. And because we're on YouTube, I can't say too much. But obviously, um, taking away your right to earn income for your family is not keeping you safe, is it? It's terrorizing you. And this is where we have all these this is where this is all about, really. So it's the individual, the alleged culprit who terrorized Sir David, stabbed him to death 12 times. That's terrorizing. uh Tony says there's 45,000 known terrorists in the UK needing 24/7 surveillance. Oh, absolutely right, Tony. Absolutely right. Sometimes I think it's almost too far gone in this country, and I don't know if. Do you think there's a political will to deal with these issues? Because I don't. I think there's a political will to beat down those of us who will not submit to the to the government's narrative. There's a desire to do that, but is there a desire to stop? Is there a desire to stop some of these other things? I don't think so. Is there a desire to stop immigration? I don't think so. Is there a desire to get integration as a priority? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. So, and that's why I can't stand the platitudes. All we've heard following the murder of Sir David is mostly platitudes, mostly platitudes. Um, Jed says there will only be a political win when more MPs are sadly killed. Well, we don't want to see anybody anywhere lose their life, but it's very difficult in a society, in this sort of country that we live in, to see how this can be avoided when we have individuals who, in this case, I mean, what drove him to want to slaughter this MP? What drove that? Well, I've got a few ideas, but again, I can't be certain. And in this country, I can no longer be exactly sure of who's driving what for what agenda. Now, somebody mentioned the fact that Matt Hancock, who, as you know, Metazolan Matt, um, he was given a job, wasn't he, with the UN? And now it looks like that he's not got that job anymore, or something's happened. So I'm sure those of you who are savvy enough will be able to investigate this one. But I think it's funny if Hancock has already lost the job that he only got 2 days ago. By the way, it's alleged that he got the job on the word of a lady called Nimco Ali. Do you remember Nimco Ali? Back in my Twitter days, Nimco and I had a few discussions back in the day. And back in the day, I used to suggest to her that female genital mutilation, which of course is a barbaric practice, all kinds of horrible things I don't want to go into here, accrued to the young girls, in some instances infant girls, who undergo it. Um, she and I agreed that FGM is a horrible thing, but she wouldn't accept the connection to Islam. I'm sorry. There's a huge, this is like saying there's a huge elephant in the room, but I'm not going to look at it. And I'm sure as hell not going to point at it. And that's one of the problems we have more generally in the issue. But Nimco, it is alleged, had a word in the ear of Carrie, Boris's wife. And that's one of the reasons how um, Matt Hancock got the job. Isn't that interesting? Wheels within wheels. Nimco Ali, of course, is of Somali origin. Mm. Makes you think, folks. Makes you think. So yeah, so there we are. So we're another week on anyway, heading into this winter of discontent, as Jane has so memorably christened it. Never mind the Shakespeare thinking about it. You come up. No, is Jazz for Prez says, is she related to Chemical Ali? No, Nimco, Nimko, Nimco Ali. Uh, Very influential. Strange the people who get into position of influence, isn't it? People are talking about capital punishment for these things. Absolutely. I am a supporter of essentially the Old Testament value of an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. If people set out to murder and they are lawfully convicted, then I think execution is perfectly reasonable. And of course, we still have that in some parts of the world, most notably certain American states. I think that's a good thing. One of my points about the capital punishment is that I've never heard of someone who's been executed for murder reoffending. Never heard of that. Never heard of that once. Not one of them's managed to do that, but plenty of them manage it if they get a 10 years in prison or whatever, 15 years in prison, and they come out. And yeah, uh, yeah. Tommy says age of consent when yeah. I saw that. This was Tommy Robinson, whose name we must never mention, was at the court trial or court, in England, and an encounter with certain gentlemen of the Muslim faith. We got to be careful what we say. Really, we should be talking about, your your favorite knitting patterns and other inanities, because that's kind of what YouTube's about these days. By the way, I hope you have signed up to my YouTube, not my YouTube, my BitChute channel, and my Rumble channel, and my Odyssey channel, and my um, podcast channel, all these other channels. Not forgetting my Parlor, my Getter, my Gab, my Minds. There's so many platforms you can find me on. This is what we need to do. We do have to unhook ourselves from the dopamine hit of. I see Tommy Trump's comments here. Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, let's go. Uh, yeah. Jez for Prez says YouTube isn't the same anymore. It's not. It's not. It's really not. That's why I'm not here as much. I don't see the point. I could put a lot of work in to doing YouTube videos. I really could, but then the obviously the algorithm suppresses me anyway. I mean, the views I get are horrifically nothing compared to what I can get elsewhere. So why would I bother? All I would urge is all of my friends here on YouTube, if you do make a point of going below and clicking and subscribing to my BitChute, in particular, I guess if it's UK, European, or my Rumble if it's American, then you're going to get all my content in a much better way on all the issues that we can't talk about here. And there are so many things that need to be talked about. And yes, Chaz, unfortunately, if I said the wrong word, I am gone. So everything I ever do in this, there's a degree of self-censorship, which I hate. But on the other hand, I want to communicate with you people and talk to you. So that's why I'm here to do this live thing, which gives the YouTube algorithms a few more issues. And Catch Me says, I see all that. Yeah, I think. He makes a lot of good points, does Tommy. But we're not allowed to talk about him in this channel, just like we're not allowed to question the vaccines, we're not allowed to question climate change. Um, are we allowed to question gender? I doubt it, because did you see that Professor Robert Winston on the BBC Question Time the other night? Did you see what he had to say about it? Oh my, the BBC will be probably having to go into a soft playroom and take additional hormone blockers to cope with his very straightforward, totally scientific views regarding gender. Oh yes, Sir Rob, but Professor Robert Winston, BBC Question Time. I think I put a video, a podcast out on it yesterday. And actually, I played the clip. So if you go back to yesterday's podcast, you'll see that. So, okay, folks, that's going to be it from yours truly. As Jed has pointed out, there are several really good, hopefully, you'll enjoy them, good podcasts coming out later during the day, particularly on the issue that we must not talk about on YouTube, namely the most important issue of the day. And you know what that is? It begins with a V and it ends in, I guess, servitude, doesn't it? But anyway, you know what? There's got a couple of some good stuff hopefully coming out in that later today. Thanks for putting your hand up regarding the pureblood badge. I will be hopefully having these available for you, wearing my own in the very, very near future. And maybe, it's one of the things that we can do. We can have a bit of fun with some of the stuff. It doesn't have to always be so serious. I also don't know about you, but I think, thanks, Tommy. I think to keep our heads up and a bit of humor helps us thrive, like, in this sort of dark winter, as Chris Whitty would have it. So that's what we try to do with each other anyway. Listen, thank you all for being on the stream. Really appreciate your time here. And as the guy on who's it, Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'll be back. Okay, bye.